What's cooking, WWE Nation? This is Ringside Insider bringing you fresh wrestling heat every day. Smash subscribe and let's jump right in. What if Seth Rollins doesn't return alone? What if the architect comes back not just with revenge on his mind, but with a familiar presence standing beside him? Ever since Seth Rollins was removed from the Vision after Crown Jewel Perth, fans have been asking the same question. How does a master strategist respond when his own creation turns against him? WWE has stayed quiet, allowing the absence to feel deliberate rather than accidental. That silence has fueled speculation, debate, and long-term fantasy booking across the wrestling world. One name continues to surface in those discussions for a very specific reason: Buddy Matthews. This is not a rumor report or insider leak. This is a breakdown of possibility, psychology, history, and realism, exploring what could happen, why it would make sense creatively, and why it may never happen at all. The night Seth Rollins lost control. The post-Crown Jewel episode of Raw marked a turning point in Seth Rollins' career. His removal from the Vision wasn't treated as a temporary setback or dramatic cliffhanger. It felt final. The group he helped build turned away from him without hesitation, signaling that his influence had expired. WWE framed the moment as structural change rather than emotional chaos. Rollins wasn't portrayed as a victim, but as a figure being erased from the power structure he once controlled. That distinction matters. When WWE writes someone out this decisively, it usually means the return will be purposeful, not rushed. Rollins didn't just lose allies that night. He lost his position, his authority, and his presence within a system he once dominated. The power of absence in WWE storytelling. Seth Rollins' time away from television has been carefully handled. WWE has avoided constant updates, keeping his status ambiguous. That choice allows anticipation to grow naturally. In wrestling, absence often strengthens a character when it's framed correctly. Rollins isn't being forgotten. He's being preserved. The Vision continues to operate in his absence, reshaping Raw and reinforcing the idea that Rollins has been replaced. That isolation is key to his evolution. A strategist removed from the board becomes more dangerous when given time to observe. Rollins has always been defined by memory and calculation. The longer he's gone, the more focused his eventual return becomes. This isn't about sympathy. It's about positioning him as a thinker rather than a reactor. Seth Rollins and the way to betrayal has always been a defining force in Seth Rollins' character. From his earliest alliances to his most recent leadership roles, Rollins remembers everything. He doesn't forget who turns on him, and WWE has consistently portrayed that trait as central to his psychology. Being pushed out of the Vision isn't something that will fade with time. It will shape his next chapter. WWE doesn't rush payback arcs involving Rollins. They allow them to breathe. When he returns, it won't be as someone seeking approval or redemption. It will be as someone seeking control. Rollins doesn't destroy impulsively. He dismantles patiently. That distinction sets him apart from most returning stars and makes his next move feel consequential. Why Buddy Matthews enters the conversation. Buddy Matthews' name appears in this discussion for reasons rooted in history, not speculation. During Seth Rollins' Messiah era, Matthews wasn't just a partner, he was a disciple. Rollins introduced him as someone worthy of trust, someone chosen. Their alliance was built on mentorship, loyalty, and dominance rather than convenience. Together they achieved tangible success, and Matthews' credibility grew under Rollins' guidance. That relationship didn't collapse due to failure. It simply ended when creative direction shifted. That unresolved dynamic is why fans continue to revisit it. If Rollins were to seek an ally who understands his mindset, Matthews fits the profile better than almost anyone else from his past. The psychology of a reunited alliance. A reunion between Seth Rollins and Buddy Matthews wouldn't be nostalgic. It would be psychological. Rollins doesn't need numbers. He needs precision. Matthews knows Rollins' methods, pacing, and manipulation style. He understands how Rollins thinks during faction warfare. That familiarity gives the pairing weight beyond surprise value. Matthews also brings his own motivation. Since leaving WWE, he has evolved, refined his identity, and established himself as a serious competitor. Returning alongside Rollins wouldn't be a reset, it would be a continuation. It sends a message that Rollins values loyalty over convenience and history over opportunity. That reframes Rollins' character from someone who lost power to someone reclaiming it deliberately. The real-world obstacles that matter. As compelling as the story may be, realism must be acknowledged. Buddy Matthews is currently under contract elsewhere, making any immediate return unlikely. Wrestling history shows that unexpected moves can happen, but they are rare and often delayed. WWE cannot simply bring someone back without circumstances aligning. That's why this scenario remains speculation rather than expectation. Timing matters as much as creativity. Even so, WWE has never shied away from planting long-term seeds. Just because something isn't possible today doesn't mean it won't become relevant later. The strength of this story lies in its logic, not its immediacy. Seth Rollins. Without allies still works. Even without Buddy Matthews, Seth Rollins' return will feel massive. WWE can easily position him as a lone strategist, someone who dismantles the vision through patience and intelligence. Rollins doesn't require backup to be effective. His mind has always been his greatest weapon. The speculation around Matthews doesn't diminish Rollins' solo value. Instead, it enhances his mystique during absence. Fans discussing possibilities keeps Rollins relevant without him appearing on screen. WWE benefits from that engagement. The conversation itself is part of the storytelling, reinforcing Rollins as someone whose presence alters the balance of power instantly. The importance of timing and war games. If Seth Rollins were to return near War Game season, the implications would be enormous. That environment thrives on alliances, betrayal, and layered narratives. Rollins fits that structure perfectly. Whether he arrives alone or with an ally, he immediately becomes the most strategic piece on the board. WWE could use that platform to reestablish him as a tactician rather than just a star. A surprise alignment would amplify the moment, but even without it, Rollins' involvement reshapes the story. Timing has always been one of WWE's strongest tools, and Rollins' return feels intentionally delayed for maximum impact. What Seth Rollins' return ultimately represents this story is bigger than one comeback or one potential alliance. It's about evolution. Seth Rollins represents the idea that betrayal doesn't end a career, it refines it. Whether he reforms a faction or dismantles one, his return will change Raw's direction. Buddy Matthews may never be involved, but the speculation reinforces Rollins' importance. Wrestling thrives on imagination, and WWE understands that. When Rollins steps back into the spotlight, it won't feel random. It will feel earned. The silence, the absence, and the unanswered questions are all part of the build. The architect doesn't rush. He rebuilds, and when he does, nothing stays the same.